Hey there, good looking. Slippery Slope here, and this is Python tutorial number 11. With this one, we're going to go over sequences, lists, and elements. And that might sound like a lot, but don't worry, it's not too bad. We are using Python GUI idle, as you might want to call it, or Python idle GUI. And just keep that open, and we'll be able to do this thing. Let me talk about what a sequence is, and from there, I will be able to discuss what the other stuff is. Now, a sequence allows us to store multiple values in a neat and orderly way. Simple enough, not so bad. And there are several kinds of sequences, and in fact, we just went over one of them. That would be strings. But there are some others, such as tuples or tuples, if you prefer, dictionaries, lists, and sets. And there are some more as well, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Let's just talk about lists, and that'll give us a good introduction. What the heck do we mean when a string is a sequence? Well, let's say we have a string that's Jagger, like Mick Jagger, or that one song Moves Like Jagger, and hopefully, if you don't like that song, you don't hate me for bringing it up. And hopefully your computer runs better than mine does, and you don't have to constantly be asked if your color scheme is good enough to save memory or whatever the heck it's up to. So we have Jagger, and we're going to put in some square brackets, and within them use the number 4, press enter, and you will get an E. What that means is that from left to right, your computer is counting the index, and this is index number 0. This is index 1, 2, 3, up until 4. Why does your computer count at 0? Because it likes to do that. If you've programmed in some other languages and have used things such as arrays, you probably already know about your computer starting at 0, going to 1, 2, 3, and so on, however many. Let's call it an n value. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters in this, so it's from 0 to 5. So just look at it as, say, n minus 1 would be your last digit. That's not all we're going to do. Good start. Hopefully this makes sense in your mind. And we're going to try one more thing with this Jagger string of ours. We're going to try a -4, and we get a G. Now, what's that about? It just means we're moving backwards. So RB -1, -2, -3, -4. And because there are 2 G's, that might seem a little confusing to you. Well, let's just try Jagger -5. If I can type it up, which I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then A would be the 5th negative. Why isn't this 0? Because there's no such thing as -0. So we start with -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and that would be our -5, our negative index, because the number in here is our index within these square brackets. Our negative index, our -5 index, is A. Now, I want to show you what lists are, and we're going to be using them going into the future. It's a concept that once you get it down, you can pat yourself on the back and have a cookie, because it's just a cool thing to know. So let's declare a list. We're going to call it Beatles, and we will initialize the values of this list to John, Paul, George, and Ringo. And I mean, George may be the least popular Beatle, but he is really gifted musically, that Eastern spiritual tinge. Not that Ringo isn't a really good drummer, because his drum style is an important part of the Beatles, but let's type that up. And now we have a list. Now, think back to how we were doing these things. We had -1, -2 from backwards, and forwards we had 0, 1, 2, 3. For this one anyways, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So kind of like what we just did with the square brackets for our string, we can type up Beatles, the name of our list, and we're going to put in, say, a 2, and we should get George back, and we do. And we could put in Beatles -2, and we'll get George back, so we have -1, -2. So again, this is a list. This is our string, the particular string we were using this time. Inside these square brackets, And you could look at this as saying this is element -1, -2, -3, -4, because everything inside of this list is an element. Or you could say element 0, element 1, element 2, element 3. And say in Jagger, our string, this would be like our 0th element, if such a term can be used. Element 1, element 2, element 3, so on. Element -1, element -2, and backwards. So hopefully that all made a lot of sense. It's really logical, so if you didn't catch it all, you might want to watch it again. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you sitting through this, and I hope you learned something. Slippery Slope signing out. Peace.